It's not even 24 hours since I got out of hospital, but it's time to see who's about to be brutalized, hospitalized, and sent down to the lower bracket here in Fields of Blood, the $1,000 team tournament featuring teams from all around the globe and some big names, familiar faces in this particular upper bracket series. That's right, because it's Louis MT's China God Stack on the east side. This has CSO, it has Scarlet Devil, I've forgotten the final member because they keep changing their names. And on the west side of Mongolian Heights to kick off this best of three, we have got the Vietnamese stack. A lot of well-known names within the team environment, within the Vietnamese community. We've got Kyo, we've got Vu Ao Lang, which is Mio Micah from StarCraft 2 fame, Vuva Van, and Lumber. Very talented teams on both sides of this, with clashing ideas on how the game should be played, actually. Based on the games we've seen in this tournament from so far, they don't follow the same approach. And you can see that based on their draft, because the Vietnamese got an absolute jackpot here. They found the leprechaun at the end of the rainbow. They beat the crap out of him and ran off with his gold because they got their hands on Mongols, French, Ayubids, and Abbasids. I'm a little bit perplexed here. Maybe it's because we're playing on Mongolian Heights, but the fact that the Chinese team, Louis' team, prioritized HRE as a ban blocker, picked it themselves, and then played more delayed? I don't think they do this on Dry Arabia, so clearly this is a map orientation. We're just going to have to see if it pays off. Louis has already set up the fishing. The wolves are going up, but they're balanced out here. Both sides are staking claims, which is a little bit worrisome because when you consider the fact that Ayyubids tends to spam out a lot of these Desert Raiders, when you consider the fact that the Abbasids can go to Camel Archers, you've got French Knights, Mongols can play Keshiks, it is actually paramount that you control these crossings. This wall's already coming up from Lumber. There's going to be an interception one, so Louis is going to look to build around it. But the problem is now with this villager here, if Lumber realizes this, he can just play Grief. Spin from Widowmine. Actually able to do some damage. I think Widowmine might be CSO, and then caught in the landslide is Scarlet Devil. Someone could probably double check that, but that does sound about right to me. So a little bit of spear on spear. Kind of interesting the Mongol players engaging with this, because typically Mongol players lose to HRE with this play. The benefit, though, is you're stopping the HRE player being the boomer, playing into Rush Castle Age. In fairness, we've noticed HRE finding more success actually being the aggro party rather than being the greeter. And when you look at the fact that Louis is playing on Japanese and we've got a Delhi pick, there are other people that can pick up the slack and go for the fast castle. So good secure here, Widowmine. Able to create that space, and the walls quickly in place here. So Louis MT able to get that blocker. Well, I just realized we haven't put predictions up. We can fix that. You're all a bunch of gambaholics. So let's see. Who will win, left or right? You guys have 2 minutes. Get your predictions in now. So Arkin on the way as well. No surprise there. Actually, I guess it could be seen as a surprise. Remember, we are on Season 9. That's the thing. This tournament, people might be wondering why we didn't have additional uploads coming more quickly. Clearman decided to give it a week's break so that players could get used to the new patch. So we could have actually ended up seeing Mine Work here, which, remember, now has the All Pikes gives +2 to Spearmen and Horsemen. Chose not to, though. So still wants to be the greedy boy at the end of the day. Archship is going to be coming out here. Louis is able to pressure onto it, but the Spearman getting baited in. Not a good idea there from Widowmine in the end. We'll be able to back away. I'm trying to think what the other big changes to really hone in on of the 8 civs we have here is going to be. I don't think there's anything drastically over the top outside of the potential for Mine Work here that would have mattered. Obviously, later in the game, there are wider spread things like Siege, but the interesting part is the Siege meta in team games is much more rare to even occur. Because the meta in team games is all about mobility, right? You want to be playing the cavalry, knights, horsemen, whatever. Onobugisha, you name it. So I don't think we're necessarily going to see that very big change in Season 9, which at its core, the biggest change obviously was Siege, come into effect here. They're poke up and down the river. Here's Lumber. Kind of cool, actually. I don't think I've seen a French player do this. He's the one playing onto the water, but it makes sense, right? The Sprued ships are cheaper for the French. Warcogs Not costing anywhere near as much as the standard, right? 75 food compared to the standard 110. So kind of cool, but I mean, he still has to pay the full price for the archer ships, for the galleys, plus the demos, right? Over time, he is, of course, going to have more villagers to work with. But that's an overtime play. It doesn't necessarily come into play straight away. And it does mean Louis MT, with the cheaper fishing boats, gets a bit more bang for buck in the opening. Louis, he went for the Kurosto House. Another big surprise there, but kind of makes sense when you consider his opponent has a full cav lineup. You know, civs that you don't really like building Shinobi against. French, Abbasids. They come to mind as the strongest, right? Ayyubids, you can kind of get away with sometimes, but not great either. Even Mongols, because they can play into Keshik. So, it makes sense that he just plays the greed, because also this isn't guaranteed. Now with opponents pressuring you on water, there's no saying you're actually going to get away with the fishing. Especially when you've got players behind you that seem to feel like they need it more freely than easily. In fact, credit to them. Vietnam, outside of lumber, are not contesting water at all, right? You've got 3 players for the Chinese stack fishing. Desirae's going to poke. One big important thing, by the way, is something that was really broken on Season 8 isn't here anymore. If you guys remember, Khan Hunters were buffing the Desirators. I heard, I've yet to confirm my own eyes, but I've heard that that has been fixed. So Desert Raiders no longer get their range increased by the Khan Hunter. Because it was ridiculous. Remember, because they got catalogued as the same unit as a Magadai, they were ending up with, I think it was 5.5 range in Age 2. Speaking of that Mongol player, did we actually get the Deer Stone? We did, so Khan Hunters can come into play. Yeah, and so far it is pretty much the old school approach. Yes, we have an entirely new season, but we mentioned there shouldn't be too many drastic shifts in the meta. We're not seeing them, right? Desert Raiders was always the way for Ayyubids. Camel Archers or Camel Riders has been the way for the Abbasid. It depends on whether you're rushing Castle Age. Not to mention the fact Eco-Wing. Magadai has become very quickly and swiftly the optimal play for most Mongol settings. And then, of course, although it's a little bit different with the opening of Warcogs, we are now getting the French Knights. Kind of surprised no trade from Kyo yet, or Vuvavan. Kyo's not going to do it because it's more cost efficient to build TCs. And for Vuvavan, he needs to actually be present first. So he was the one spear mosh pitting up against the HRE to protect their docks. And then he wants to get the Magadai in line. You don't want to rush trade here. Eventually it'll make sense, but for now, leverage the Deer Stone for the better gathering at home. Get some military units. This is such a Louis move, man. Okay, if there is a one player in the game, whether we're talking Season 8, Season 9, whatever season it may be, that I have faith in with Temple of Quality is probably Louis. Louis is the only one I've seen consistently make it work in multiple matchups. Really wild to see it here in a team setting, though. This is kind of crazy. Like, you're losing your tempo. I don't know if I like this from China. They've got Regnants on the way. They've at least got relics to grab. Delhi did tech up, right? They did go up with the House of Learning, and I imagine we're going to be looking at... You could maybe go Elephants here. Probably going to be going Lancers. But you don't have that surge now from the Japanese player, right? It's not like we've got Mass Mount Samurai. And instead, the Delhi player is going to be going Elephants, but not in the way you thought. We have got Temple of Equality, Fast Imperial Delhi. And what is up, Taco? Thank you very much, the Prime Gamer sub. Welcome back to the Swarm. Okay, this game, dude, this strategy, maybe I'm huffing the hopium. This might work simply because of how unorthodox this kind of feels. I think what they're doing here is they're leveraging the fact they got the walls online and their opponents aren't rushing through them. So they're trying to punish them for being maybe a bit complacent here. But that's dangerous, man. I mean, it's at least going to work out for the moment because we can see it's Camel Archers and not Camel Riders. It's not a fast tech up. So realistically, the burn power to get through these walls isn't that strong. On top of that, Team China has water control, which means you can't just walk up and blow up these walls. Desert Raiders are going to try to start picking apart the fishing boats, but more easily said than done. And kind of the worst unit to do it with, right? Camel Archers would make more sense. Desert Raiders just inherently having a less effective HP. At least against range units. This is crazy. This is actually wild, man. So we're probably getting HRE rushing Age 4 soon, right? Like, obviously they're delayed because they had to play into the Spearman opening, but they're going to be rushing out towards the relics. We've got some pressure coming in because a group of knights was able to roam in, and you can follow up now with, say, some lancers from blue, but instead he's only focused on getting elephants, and we do have trade now being prepped in the corners by teal and green. Do you trade as Japan here? You know, you could actually. It kind of makes sense in some ways, but I don't think you need it. If you just mass Buddhist monks, you'll have plenty of gold anyway. Remember, with the Zen tech he just got his hands on, these guys pay themselves back. They pay for the cost of themselves in just over 3 minutes. They only cost 80 gold. You get 25 gold per minute now. Yeah, really crazy. I think this was always the case for a while, right? Buddhist costing 80 gold. It kind of got overlooked for a long time, though. It's why I think Louis is able to make these builds work even on the last patch. And it's kind of an intriguing idea up against some of these units. I think Magadai, the way they scale Desert Raiders, Knights, a lot of units that have pretty good base damage, 50% reduction is going to be huge there. The issue, however, in a team environment, is how do you ever get the Buddhists in position? Because these units are not fast. Catch up coming in from the Vietnamese. Looks like we've got Kyo now teching up. I do wonder if we're going to see that Camel Rider switch. And yes, Hosen, you're correct. Mid-Season 8 was when the change got made. It used to be it takes 4 minutes to return the cost. I think Zen also got buffed, if I remember correctly. Is it 300 resources now? It used to be 500. Might still be 500, actually. But it's food and wood, right? I think it's 300 food, 200 wood. Kind of a cool idea here is actually with Louis' monks being so cheap, he could try to sneak in and snatch relics from the enemy side. But time is running out. If you're going to make the move, it needs to be fast. In theory, one of these players should be grabbing them. Mongols don't because they don't have the double production on the Shamans anymore. Ayyubids could very easily with Dervish, but that hasn't happened yet from Miyamika. So there is actually a lot of relics still up for grabs on the map. And wait, are we... Hold on a second. We've got Zebex. What? They're not that good though, right? Now, chemistry still affects them, if I remember correctly. I don't know if that was a bug or intentional, but remember, this is a civ that can get chemistry for free. So realistically, that is something to consider here, right? It's a siege weapon, so you get the 25% increased bonus damage. It's at least good at taking down buildings, but that's not going to work against much else. Trade. Ooh, that's rough because he could snipe that. Yeah, with 9 tower range, he could intercept the traders of lumber. This is kind of crazy. I mean, we mentioned it. No one likes to build siege in team games. The map is way too big, so it's not like you're now going to go, oh, I'll just build like a culverin or two. Not right in a rush, maybe eventually, but for now, the Zebex could prove a nuisance. It also gives them maintained control over these crossings. They need to actually deal with what's already in. The Desert Raid is already flooded in from Miyamika. It's a lot as well. 44 in total, but this group 28 strong. And he did use the Adabeg play, so able to buff them up by 29 at this point. Not all of them, but a decent amount. He's going to be wrapping in. Wait a second. Where's Blue's economy? He kind of looks small, right? He's going to be diving. He's denying the relics as well. Oh, wait, okay, no. I've got to address this. Why have you got an HRE ally and you've got 3 relics in your base? You deserve this. What? All right, we got to talk about the teamwork coming out from Team China here, because if I look over and I see relics in... No. So at least Louis is like, no, these belong to you. You need them. You take them. You've got an HRE teammate. He uses them twice as well as you do, and you snatched 3 relics away. Vile, filthy Delhi players. It's always greedy. Oh, wait, we actually have battering rams. Did he? Yeah, I think this was Desert Raider into Adabegs, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, confirmation in. Sorry, it was Desert Raider into Adabegs. Yeah, so Castle Age Adabegs. So a lot of units are going to be scaling with extra health. I prefer this build. I'm not always crazy about Desert Raiders as the tier 1, just because I don't think it's impactful to get one of them versus the extra growth. But it does make sense on a map this big if you're trying to maybe play into rams from behind, which he did start to do there, and he has now got them shuffling with the base. Right now, I'm concerned, though, because Blue is so fixated on controlling the river, nobody is now defending his base. Not just that, I don't think that Tower Elephants do that well against mass Desert Raiders, because with melee form, you just massacre. Elephants are at least looking to block here on the trade, though. Oh, well played. Blue already blocking any escalation in economy for Orange. Meantime, though, the Magadai are rippling into the back lines, and the walls aren't up yet. The only player who's now building them is Louis. Louis, who also is teching up into Age 4 with the Japanese. This Magadai are tricky, though. The moment you start letting them in just once like this, it takes so long to clean them up. And also, you know, if you're having to react, let's say, 3 times the army, that causes an imbalance of control on the map. Like, if you are having to bring that many troops back home to defend, your opponents are going to get something out of it. We're already seeing the Vietnamese getting a hell of a lot out of this. The economical difference, just 18 minutes in, almost just feels overwhelming. Militarily, the Chinese are ahead, but they're not really doing anything with it. That's the problem here. Yeah, they kind of need to go for a counteroffensive. The other issue is this is what happens when you play into elephants with Delhi. Eventually, you'll be really scary, but it takes you so long to reach that scale point. You at least now have trade in the corner. So it looks like Lumber did give up on the neutral trade post, which would have been better, remember. You get 20% more from trading here, but trading corner to corner is still absurd. You're seeing us get 146 resources each way. Kyo is going to join the trade soon as well. Age 4 just kicked in for the Abbasids. Alright guys, ones if you think Vietnamese have got this, twos if China has a secret plan we just don't realize. Two if they've been hiding all the nuclear weapon codes. Because I'm struggling to see the way, man. Magadai poking away again. Louis MT on just 1 TC. There was an idea here, but it almost just feels like it was the classic let's greed. They put the pressure point on their opponents to attack. I just don't like that. When I look at the Vietnamese team, I don't think they have a single civ that scales poorly into Imperial. Mass Desert Raiders is insane. Mass Magadai is insane. Abbasids gets there so quickly that it is insane. And French Knights are chef kiss in the hyper late game as long as there's not camels on the other side. Right? Like, I don't think China thought enough about the Vietnamese comp when they were considering their strategy. The Zebecs are cool, elephants are cool, sure. Like, big round of applause for Delhi, but I'll have to see if it pays off. They are finally making a move. Desert Raiders held in reserve here. Now remember, this is a bit tricky. They're actually diving the player that's not Imperial Age. These Desert Raiders, they're missing a lot of extra health. They could actually be up to a ridiculous effective HP pool because they can get up to 13 melee armor in total. Currently they're at 6. Pretty big deal when your opponent's diving in with men-at-arms, spearmen, elephants, which even the ranged form can have the ability to headbutt. Need to react fast. Teal's making his move as well. There is a mirrored move from Kyo here with the elite camel archers. Desert is... Oh my god! Wait, melee it up! Melee it up right now! This is the easiest win in a fight you could be asking for. What the hell is Y doing? Well, you get Y. There's a Y in his name now, because that is what I'm asking this very moment. Lucky not to lose more there. Dive now comes in into the base of Miyamika. But the troops have amassed. The year of the camel is upon us. It's a battle of nature. As old as time itself, elephants versus camels. Who gets to drink from the oasis? This range form, I don't like it. The problem you're seeing right now is sticking to range form isn't ideal here for Miyamika. He doesn't do much damage. It's 11 bow damage against tower elephants that have 13 ranged armor. A nightmare of an attempt to descend here. The only person who's maybe making it look good is Kyo, but even that feels limited, stunted in his ability to do so. I question it, man. I didn't know what China was going to be up to here, but they seem to have found the chink in the armor. The kryptonite for this Vietnamese strat. Desert Raiders will at least be able to whittle away at the men-at-arms. But I can't help but feel, while this is a great strike by China, it's also a mistake by Vietnam. Not going melee mode feels like a huge blunder. You have the mobility, you have the gap close. Probably would have benefited from Kyo switching over into Camel Riders as well, knowing what was coming. I mean, you know, you saw it as a fast Imp Delhi play. Likely you are going to be experiencing the Tower Elephants coming out. Of course, they have ranged armor, not much melee armor. Yet still, okay, someone needs to build melee, guys. This is ridiculous. Oh, this hurts. Mangadai, Camel Archers, Desert Raiders. You'd think they'd learn from how hard it was to burn through a wall. They're just kind of going the hardest way about this. They do at least have Lumber now arriving with the Knight, so that will provide some reprieve. But this is painful. And by the way, yes, the artifacts are dead, but they aren't permanently gone. You can build them out of the House of Wisdom. They cost 100 food, 100 gold. However, you need a House of Wisdom, and you're about to be missing one. I think they panicked, guys. I really do think that Miyamika panicked in this one. Maybe he thought the animation cancelling was worth it, but that's a lie. You could have been doing almost 30 damage. Instead, you're doing 11 damage into a unit that has more ranged armor than that. It takes you 780 hits to kill a Tower Elephant. OP! I'm flabbergasted right now. I mean, they've blocked the trade. They've killed a player. You know, Miyamika, he shifted away with some of his economy, right? So he's still got 70. We are going to see him diving in now, but the Magadai, I mean, you can maybe deal with the War Elephants, but they even have a lofty 11 ranged armor here. Not to mention they did get their hands on the Mahouts for the extra movement speed, as well as the Warp Beast for the extra health. They don't die. Elephants counter everything here. Knights finally dive in, but they're diving in onto the War Elephants first. Cannoneers at the back doing absolutely fine here. Knight count simply just isn't going to dent it. They need an additional wave, and they need it right now, because behind this, no one else is partying. No one else is assisting. They're now on the way. Pink is moving up. We've still yet to see Louis make his move. And keep in mind that Teal hasn't been doing too much at the moment either. He's arbitrary transitioning. So this is all one player versus the strongest players in Vietnam. And they said Delhi elephants were fine. They're regretting those statements. Oh my god. Oh, the herd is getting slightly culled here. But I think we can agree, worth. This might be the most absurd elephant game I've seen. And we had that one, I think that Dimu was in. Was it a 3v3 or 2v2? That looked absolutely absurd. That was the one where we said it was broken because you could build mass melee elephants. And with the new splash damage, they could actually beat spears. This is even more ludicrous. In fairness, the comp made it this easy, but still, seeing it in action, your jaw just kind of drops a little bit, right? Elite Magadai couldn't do any damage, really. Camel Archers couldn't do any real damage. Remember, the Camel on Ease doesn't impact elephants either, so no debuff on these high base damages of 50 from the tasks, 27 from the spears, right? And that's not get starred on the gunpowder unit sitting on top of these boys. Why no one playing Ottoman, everyone playing cavalry? Usually the issue is the speed they play at. Why would you pick Ottomans when you can pick Abbasids? Abbasids won't kill the Cav civs necessarily quicker. They can with Camel Riders. But the debuff alone comes in early on. You need time as Ottomans. And even then, Janissaries are immobile. Camels are not. So, you know, if you want an anti-Cav comp, you're always going to be better served by Abbasids on open maps or Ayyubids. If you're playing a closed map like Hill and Dale, then we can talk about Ottomans. Magadai finally actually do some damage, so free damage going through. They will be able to mop them up. There's not much of a base left for red here. So, damage report after everything's said and done. Funnily enough, erasing red like that even the game up. Look at the eco, look at the military. This isn't your atypical game where it's just a GG because one player's dead. The Vietnamese were so stacked before that they're still in contention now. The Vietnamese are looking to make a move. Lumber now decides instead of just reacting these plays, he wants to make his own. This is kind of wild though. You don't see this often. French mirrors is typically knights vs knights. Instead, we've got arbitrary from Teal. We're quickly seeing the negative of building them. You can't chase these knights whatsoever. Elsbach is up. We have got the Red Palace as well as the warships, but eventually at least a handful of these knights will be able to break through to the backside, and there's a lot of trade waiting to meet them. Please just build cavalry riders. If I had your head right, I don't know why people sleep on camel riders so much. I kind of get it, right? For raiding, camel archers are going to be better, but the cleanup would have been so much quicker with riders here. Or at least a 50-50 comp, right? I get it, because all units will attack straight away, but when the elephant comp was very big, yeah, now you're my shooter. And what is up, Firehick? Thank you very much for the raid, my friend. Hopefully you had a good stream. Welcome, welcome, one and all. We are in the middle of casting a bunch of team games from a $1,000 tournament that's currently being hosted courtesy of Clearman from the Vietnamese community. You have gotten early in an absolutely wild one here. Game number 1, we're 30 minutes in, and we just witnessed a Delhi Imp player 3v1. Actually, it was 4v1 towards the end, as Lumber did eventually arrive with French Knights. I've got a feeling this game has quite a while left in it. And yes, Delhi do not have many villages. They only play 1 TC. They delete their fishing right because I think they've pretty much taken out all the shoreline fish. There's no permanence there, right? And they do now at least have the keeps being installed, so they can start to inflate. It's not bad being this low in the economy because he had so many elephants as well. So the cool thing in team games is you can just look to optimize around the power of your elephants, but that requires population, right? Have someone sling you resources. You've got a Japanese teammate has a lot of food. You have H who has a lot of everything, especially if you give them the relics. So you don't necessarily need to float a big economy yourself. You just need someone that can play support so that you can play up to, say, 140 military. I actually like that approach. We saw how good the elephants were. Next time might be a bit harder. We are at least seeing hand cannoneers now starting to get added in by Kyo. As a new wave of elephants has arrived. Done with red space. They arrived just in time to discover he built more of it. If there's Ottoman, they'd kill Delhi elephants with great bombard punch. I mean, it'd be more about the Janissaries, right? But then you would have drafted Ottomans, so your opponents would be playing more aggressive. Camel Lancers. I mean, it's not Desert Raider melee mode, but we'll take it. I'm still perplexed by this. I don't know why he's not just building Desert Raiders in melee. A better unit, right? Like when you think about the damage, talking about 22 damage versus the Camel Lancer, which gets that Lance out and then hits for 24. On top of that, it's 210 HP. Yeah, 174, much lower for Desert Raiders, but also less expensive. He's going to get the assist here, so it looks like the Elephant shouldn't be able to stay here too long. Walls are starting to be prepped, but they're only baby walls coming out from Lumber. Ground is being gained. Teal's arbitrary mass has started to march forward here. Pavisis arguably drops, and Magadai not able to contest whatsoever. Keep drop on the way behind this from Kyo, but not as quick as you'd like to see. Dive should be able to reach them before it is actually installed, so looks like that keep could be in the spirit of doubt here. Only 11 villagers building it up, and they've already been reached, so a failed keep here from Kyo. And all of a sudden, his base, his farmlands, at risk. Is it worth sending scholars with them? You could. I think Zeal's a bit baity though. If target fires on 1 by 1, it just the way it interacts, you end up typically zealing like 1 unit as you try to priority heal. So I don't think it's necessary the scholars. And once again, like it's population in either into more elephants or something else, right? Good bite back just in time there. Kyo, with the assistance of Lumber, able to shove away the arbitrary, but hand cannoneers and men-at-arms are arriving. And this is problematic, folks. They don't have any heavy cav here to dent this. They don't have anything that can easily deal with the hand cannoneers. The hand cannoneers, yes, they don't get the power chemistry anymore. Got changed to serpentine. And there is no infantry. But it's still going to be a decent trader when assisted like this. Arbitrary mass now stand their ground. Magadai wave is going to arrive, but if you're just left with Magadai versus Arbitrary, that's a fight that Teal should be able to confidently take. And Louis has arrived, folks. Mounted Samurai. This guy loves building these in the Imperial Age more than any other player in Age of Empires 4 right now. But not just that, we have got the powerful Sohai Sutra now to start impacting these fights. And more so than that, we have the Buddhist conversion. This works on allies, right? We're going to find out. I would need... No, it doesn't. Wait. No, it doesn't. Okay. Well, that's kind of heartbreaking. So for those that don't know, you're meant to get a damage increase. Wait, actually, no, I'm an idiot. He did. It does. Oh my god, yeah, it does. My brain was attack speed, and I was looking at movement speed, because I think there's an upgrade for it, where you can get movement speed? Or it might have been duration. But yes, the 20% damage buff works on allies. So this Arbitrary went up to plus 11 damage on their 15. That's wild. How long until another? It's going to take another 60 seconds. Yeah, so you kind of want the Monk to die, because if he dies, you can then immediately wall again. So there we go. Buff comes in. Big mistake sniping there. It means he's going to be able to activate it again. Arbitrary continue to just push forward. They are doing 26 damage per strike here. No wall. Oh, looks like they're going to forfeit over a relic. That's the negative of this type of play. So the Arbitrary are eventually going to get cleared up. But look at the military difference now. They've done so much work. 260 to 114. On top of that, the elephants are in again. Trade about to be intercepted. Everything is being piled into pushing back Teal. But this is just one of potentially 3 waves to come. Cannon's going to be able to shuffle away in time here. Arbitrary are going to continue to distract, but we do see the forward infrastructure now. Stables being added in. Really smart play here by Kyo. Archery range is less important. Stables matter a lot more because you've got frontline, backline. Frontline should die first, right? It's similar to the logic if you're scaling hand cannoneers, you don't need to build archery ranges next to your opponent's base, but building racks makes a lot of sense. Because then your cannon fodder can just be immediately replaced and in the battle. This is wild. I mean, elephants essentially are countering everything the enemy team are doing. If you get enough hand cannoneers, you will have an answer, but that doesn't seem to be on the agenda. Horseman, maybe. The problem is because it's melee elephant, ranged elephant, you can't get in. Like, Delhi look insane here because you could just be lower and lower on economy to have more military here. Like, he could easily just delete 30 eco and it would be reasonable in this type of set. Stone walls have at least started to get set up everywhere else, so we shouldn't get these easy peasy dives necessarily. Widowmine now jumping in on top of the camels. It's looking like a sandwich. I'm not sure how meaty camel is. I'm not sure how easy it is to sink your teeth into, but they're going to try anyway. Elephants and horsemen do meet up. The horsemen get wiped, but the elephants getting even deeper here. The farms have also been idled up, and Kyo, he's still got 130 economy, but a lot of these farms not able to operate right now. On top of that, the Magadai mass not really able to tick the box here, right? Blocked out of going and doing anything real, and it looks like that's it. The GG gets called. Red just gave up. The Vietnamese strat that looked unbeatable with Mongols and Abbasids is nothing in the face of the Delhi Empire. Season 9, Year of the Elephants upon us. Dude, Delhi are wild in team games. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next game.